okay, instead of starting like thinking, okay, I want to start this, what is it that you naturally have in you, or is it that you're naturally interested in that you can, make something of?
Couldn't help to notice the bling on your fingers.
Yes.
Because in the beginning of the segment, I spoke about that you are an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And you and Aisatou have a company, Diawène. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
How did that come about?
So that came about, again, as Aisatou tells the story, she's like, Haddy, with one of her crazy ideas again, and she just pulls me in. But we had this idea around 2016, I think it was. Yes, 16, 17, where I originally wanted to start a clothing brand. But again, starting a clothing brand is very complicated. There's a lot of elements. There's a lot of there's a lot of time, and you have to know a lot of things, and you also need a lot of funding.
And so it's a long chain, isn't it? Like processes, yes, before we can actually sit here and wearing the brand. Yeah,
for sure. And then it gets more complicated. Like, okay, are you gonna make a T-shirt, or are you gonna make jeans? Are you gonna make a jacket? And are you just gonna make like there's so many layers and so many things to think about. And then, as I said, I was living in New York at the time, and I found it so fascinating with the Hispanic culture that I was experiencing through living in New York, but also a lot of the Asian culture, where it's just like, wow, you have these people living in the USA, and they are so much themselves and so much of the US at the same time. And I thought that was so fascinating, because for me, coming from Norway, it's often felt like you're half and half, and you're not really a full of anything. Whilst with these people, I was like, okay, these are 100% this and 100% that. And it was just like, I think that started kind of like a thought process in my head. And also with going back to Senegal and Gambia and visiting and seeing what's going on there, and being like, okay, instead of starting like thinking, okay, I want to start this, what is it that you naturally have in you, or is it that you're naturally interested in that you can, make something of? And that's when kind of like jewelry came to mind.
Okay.
Because again, my mom loves dressing up, so she dresses us up as well, often in like matching dresses and all of that.
I imagine you have 3 daughters and a son. Like, you can have 3 miniature you.
Exactly.
And then a miniature version of your husband. Exactly. You understand? So yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, we were always wearing a lot of jewelry. A lot of gold jewelry, which we lost, and I don't know how many thousands of jewelry, and I don't even want to think about it. But we always had a lot of jewelry on, and we had that too when we grew up, and then we kind of stopped using it for a while. I don't know if that was like a rebellious thing or what we were doing, but then got back into it, and so with that came Diawène. Which is named after my mom, actually, or my mom's family. So yeah, we started working on that, and then we got our first samples in like end of 2017, early 2018, and then we worked on the brand itself and the collection for a year-ish, and then launched it.
You draw the
so we draw jewelry. Some of it, but we also work with the jewelers in Senegal.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, I would say it's a combination between me and Aisatou designing, but also kind of like them coming with input and kind of like, so it's half of it is like a collaboration and half of it is like our designs. So it's a really fun way of working because I think that it allows them to come and be like, what do you think about this? And we're like, oh, this is nice, da, da, da. And then we come back with corrections, or we're like, okay, what if we do it like this, this, and this? And it's a very it's not a very technical way of working, which both me and Aisatou thought was very fun, because it's more kind of like a conversation, and it's very cool to see how they understand what you mean and how you can like describe things. They're like, yeah. Versus, for example, like, I don't know, but if we were to produce in, for example, Asia, where they've been doing this for, generations, and they have all these technicals, you have to send a spec sheet, it's very like squared way of working. Whilst there, it was very, it just feels like you are kind of creating and dreaming together in a very authentic, just fun way. And then of course there's a lot of error on the way, but I think that's also kind of like a part of working with a community that is very good at what they do, but they're not used to like the maybe the Asian way of doing it, where it's like very specific and very black and white, I would say. Tailored.
But isn't it also like your brand is also modernizing traditional ways of doing jewelry?
I do,
because the Senegambian culture and way of expressing yourselves has a lot of jewelry, and also it also amplified kind of the richness of the families. We had in the very first Edges and Rings Hair and Cultural Celebration, we had the amazing Safi Carroll, and she showed a style where there was this shells in the hair, and also some jewelry on it. And in the history of when we were researching for showcasing that style, she spoke about how in the Senegambian culture that this is how they showcase also unmarried girls and also the family's riches through decorating her hair. So going back to your brand, when you work with the jewelers, isn't it also like modernizing traditional way?
I think so, for sure. And I think that's also kind of like the idea behind it all, where it's like, okay, how can we almost more than, I guess we can call it modernizing, but also making it into what we are. Because me and Aisatou were talking a lot about, in the years after we started the brand, we often get the question, or questions along the lines of like, what is Diawène? Is it this or is it that? Is it that? Is it that? Like, how would you describe it? And we're just like, it's so difficult for us to describe something that is literally us, because a lot of immigrants, or a lot of people with immigrant parents moving,
second generation of immigrants.
Exactly. I do not understand. I don't know how to explain to you how it feels to have parents from Senegal and Gambia and growing up in Norway. You know what I mean? Like that like how that intertwined. It's like, okay, I can kind of tell it to you, but it's easiest for me to show it to you. And I feel like what we tried to do through the brand was exactly that. So when people are asking us like, how do you find the balance between, I'm like, it just is. I don't really know how. I don't really know how to explain it to you. It's like asking you, like, how does it feel to be Norwegian? You like, you can talk about it, but not really, because it's just something that you are. So it's very hard to like actually explain it to other people in depth. And anyway, like, we found it quite difficult anyways, because everyone, you just kept on asking us all these like this, that, that. We were just like, we just are like, we don't, where do you find the inspiration? It's like through us. Like, we find it inside us, like we're inside, and we're like, we don't really, like, it's very hard for us to explain. And I don't know if that's the right answer or not, but that's how we felt anyway, because that's our experience. And if our experience isn't the right answer, then I don't really know how to explain it to you.
There is no, yeah.
Yes.
Edges and Drinks is also, we really put emphasis on the fact that we want to create a safe space, an environment where we just are on our terms. Did it feel like a sense of release or giving birth when you created your brand? How do you pronounce it? Because it feels like I butchered it right now.
What did you say?
I say Diawène.
But the reason why I say that is because we used to say that.
Okay.
But then we decided actually to say Diawène, which is the actual
name.
Because we were like, Diawène, that's not like, I think we were just
Norwegian.
Lost in the sauce somewhere. Yes, we're trying. I think we're trying to make it
children
Norwegian.
Of the diaspora.
And then we just were like, why are we doing this? Which I think also is going to answer part of your question, which is like, it really felt like giving birth, but I don't know if it felt like it right away. But it was some, or actually maybe it did, because it was something about taking back what you are and who you are, and then allowing, and also allowing yourself to just be, you know. And a lot of the times when me and Aisatou have spoken about Diawène throughout the years, it's like, wow, we are also experiencing our own culture through this brand, and it's been such a blessing to be able to go back and hear the stories and really get to know where you're from. Because I mean, we do know, but I think that when you are so lucky to own a brand or having to start something in Senegal or in Gambia, or, you know, some type of connection, maybe you're within politics, I don't know, it forces you to do more research. And through that research, you get to know yourself more, because there's so many things that, you know, our parents have taught us so much, but there's still so much more to learn. And I think really, really, it has changed a lot of me and my sister's perspective on ourselves and how we view our culture. And it's really blessed us to also get to know other people in the same space, not only from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, but also the rest of Europe and the US. Where now it's like, I remember before, for example, just an example, my Instagram, it was mostly like Scandinavian creators and some from the US, but now it's like I follow people from all over the world, and people that look like me, and people that, you know, talk like me, or are from the same places that I am. And I think it really, again, it has helped, you know, me anyway, with, you know, how I look at myself. And it's just beautiful to see that there's so many of us all over the world, that are just out there killing it.